I spent an entire day researching the best weapon XP strategies, and I might have figured out how augments actually work. And at least from what I've seen, it does not work like anybody else is actually saying. And I have the spreadsheets to back it up. So let's get into it. First things first, don't take that opening as any sort of heat towards anybody. This is a very confusing thing. It's really hard to dissect all of this. There's not a lot of ways to easily track this, so let me show you what I have. This is the spreadsheet that I made. Believe me, this is really zoomed out, just I wanted to show you all it is. I wanted to test out all of the different rounds because I know in the past, there was a round 10 strategy in Cold War and the XP drop-off was huge in those older games. And then I just kind of started adding stuff like, ooh, augment research, and let's do this, and let's do that, and let's make it a little bit more fancy. So I never intended for you beautiful people to see this, but you're seeing it because what we have to talk about is very important. Let's zoom in a little bit here and let's talk about weapon, or let's show you what I recorded. I recorded the round that I got to. If I Exfilled, so in this game, I went to round 15, Exfilled on 16, Rampage Inducer, boy oh boy, we're excited for that. Total XP, total points at the end of the game, because I was just fiddling around with stuff. Time in minutes, how many minutes that match took me, which gave me an XP per minute, which is the thing that you all are waiting for. I did my player level and weapon level, but these guys really aren't that important to this video. They work kind of exactly how they've always worked in Call of Duty. The early levels, not a lot of XP, later levels, a little bit more XP. They follow pretty much what these XP gains are. These really boring. In fact, I might even hide these guys so you guys don't get distracted, because then we have the augment research, and this augment research is very, very important. You can see I tracked what the augment was, where it started, where it ended, and whether or not I was matching the augment. So for example here, here it is. In this round 30 game, I matched the augment because I was using PhD. So I used a weapon that was explosive. I used the explosive pistol, and I used PhD to see if that increased or decreased the rate that we got or researched that augment. But before we talk about augments, I want to talk about XP, because there's a huge, at least I think from my eyes, from my games, I think there's a huge misunderstanding of how weapon XP works in zombies. I see so many videos telling you beautiful people, go to round 15, go to round 20, Exfil, restart again because the XP drops off and the XP per minute, whatever. Throughout all of my games here, let's zoom out a little bit. Throughout all of my games, you can see this first batch I did at round 15. That's what this orange color is. These are all round 15 games here. So let's take a look at our XP per minute. For our round 15 games, you could see it was kind of inconsistent. Sometimes I'd get 26,000 XP, sometimes 13,000 XP, 13, 25, 26, 17,000. Although this one I reached around 15 and then I died. I actually did an Exfil, which was, important for us to research. We'll get to it. And yes, each of these took me about 20 minutes. I was using a new pistol, so, it was probably a little bit slower than what normally is, but that's not what's important. At our highest end, we have an XP per minute at 1200, 1100, 1100. At our lowest point, it's about 600, 600, and then 900 down here. Again, 19 minutes because I died. This one, if I were to Exfil, it probably would have been a little bit more, so it would have been closer to that, which, so we have a pretty decently consistent-ish range here. Now, these games, you might be asking, Donuts, why in the world are these games so much more XP? Well, this is a new game, and especially in this game, I used a brand new weapon level right here. This actually should be 1.1 because there is no weapon level 0 here. I used a brand new weapon for these games. But it's not just about the new weapon, it's what the new weapon brought. And that brought a lot of different challenges. I was doing reticle challenges, weapon XP challenges. I was getting a lot of badges, a lot of, hey, you've reached 100 kills with this weapon, 150 kills with this weapon. I was getting extra XP during all of these games. When I was using another weapon that I had ranked up a little bit, or it took a little bit longer to get those extra camos or those extra challenges because it was 1,000 kills, 1,000, whatever, that's when we got the lower amount of XP. So that makes sense. So that's one of the biggest takeaways. It's like Donut's number one biggest takeaway. Use different attachments, use different sites, grind out those different reticle challenges. Those little sources of XP clearly get you a lot. And that is common throughout here. Even in our round 20 games, I'm getting 30,000 XP here, and then, 18 to 20,000 XP here, all because of those challenges. So if we take this XP per minute, which I'm still not happy with, again, we didn't play a whole lot of games per rank. We need a lot larger sample size here. But as you can see, going into round 20, we have, again, about 1,000 XP per minute here, with our total XP being 30,000 here. At our lowest end, it's about 700 XP per minute, which is about what we were doing down here at these round 15 games. Moving over to the round 25 game that we did, again, lots of challenges, lots of that stuff. We got 37,000 XP. We've got 1,000 XP per minute going all the way to round 30. My goodness, they tell you to Exfil before round 30. This game got 47,000. This was another, I think it was a fresh, I think think this was a fresh weapon here. Yeah, 1.1 weapon level here. So that was a brand new weapon. I think it was the PP90M1 or the PP19 or whatever it is there. I love that SMG, by the way. But because of how much I could level up that weapon, I got a lot of XP for that, and therefore my XP per minute was really high. And then we go over to our round 35 game. I think we were also using that SMG again. We ranked it up 10 levels. We spent 56 minutes in this round 35 game. No Rampage Inducer. We Exfilled, and we still had an XP per minute of 1,000. This is huge. This XP per minute at round 35, you could spend a whole hour in game versus what we used to do and just Exfil at round 10 or something every 20 minutes. And this is just really tedious. But you could see 3 of these games, we were only getting like 900 or 600, not even 700 XP per minute. Now, of course, we did have this round 30 game, 700 XP per minute. But my point is all of these XP per minutes are very similar to one another. And please call me out if I'm a donut, because it's the first time I've done this extensive testing, but it appears to me, at least with the few games that I played at these higher-ish rounds, that the biggest factor between a high XP per minute and a low XP per minute is completing challenges. It looks like they might have found the sweet spot, the magic number for zombies, that all throughout, at least until around 35, you should be getting a consistent stream of XP throughout your game. So you don't need to exfil at round 10. You don't need to run the Rampage Inducer until round 20 and then exfil. You can actually enjoy the game. You can set up, you can do side quests, you can do Easter eggs. In fact, these 2 games right here on round 20, I was doing SAM trials a lot, and that's probably why they took a little bit longer than the other round 20s, because sometimes the trial would keep going and the round would be over and all that stuff. But these were the ones that I got the most weapon XP out, or the most regular XP out of. So SAM trials, it might be worth doing those SAM trials. But again, I also still had a lot of those challenges being completed during that game. But donuts, what about the Rampage Inducer? This is where, again, Treyarch is just hitting it out of the park this year. I played 2 games. Now, I know it's a terrible sample size, all right? But the 2 games that I played, round 15 here again, we got 13,000 XP, which is the same as game number 3 and game number 2. However, it took me a couple minutes. I'm not the best zombie player. Again, this one was with a pistol. You could probably complete it way faster than 19 minutes. And that would get, if I could shave off like 2 minutes there, again, that would increase your XP per minute. And then here in the round 20 game, we got 21,000 XP, which again is more than game 11, game 12 right here, which gives us a better XP per minute. It looks like the best strategy might be using the Rampage Inducer as far as you can go, because if the XP doesn't decrease with the rounds like it did back in the day, if it doesn't decrease at round 35, if the Rampage Inducer speeds up those rounds, it looks as though that might be the strategy. Of course, I haven't played as many games up here. I was excited. I want to share this with you and just make sure I was on the right track. But from my preliminary tests, it looks like the Rampage Inducer no longer decreases your weapon XP like it did back in Cold War. So the best strategy appears to be just play the game and use the Rampage Inducer. It's not going to be an exponential increase, so they still technically decrease the amount of XP per zombie in the higher rounds, but there's a lot more zombies, so they try to make it consistent throughout your playtime. Your XP per minute appears as though it's going to remain consistent throughout your game of zombies, which is so much better than what we had in the past, where your XP per minute just went down until it was negligible, or in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, where your weapon XP just stopped. You just capped your weapon XP in Modern Warfare 3. It's crazy. And yes, I will make this spreadsheet available to you in the description, because I really do want you to fact check my numbers. I really feel weird when I get a different result than everyone else in the community, so don't take my word for it. Do your own research, because now we need to talk about the augments. And my, oh my, is it weird. So in terms of recording the augments, the start and the end, there is no XP number or any sort of real measurable way. So all I did was kind of just look at the screen, look at the progress bar on the bottom right once you had it equipped, and kind of just guesstimate about how much that bar was progressed. Now I know I could count pixels in Photoshop, but I didn't think it would be this confusing, and I think I did some pretty accurate numbers. But again, do your own research and let me know if you find anything different. From what we understand, augments are tied to XP. So with that assumption, let's take a look at what I found. Game number one, 26,000 XP got us, or from Elemental Pop went from 0, so no augments, to 1.1. So that means That meant that we got the first augment plus a little bit of extra. Game number 2, we went from that little bit of extra, we did 13,000 XP, and we went about 1.5. So far, we're making sense. We did about half the XP, we get about half the progression. Not too bad. Same thing down here, 13,000 XP, about half the progression. Not too bad. Until game number 4 ruins everything. Screw you, game number 4. We got 25,000 XP, but only half of the elemental pop augment from 2 to 2.5. If that wasn't confusing enough, game number 5 with the Rampage Inducer, 13,000 XP. Again, same thing, 13,000 XP as game number 3, 0.49, 0.44. So this makes sense with the half that we were getting of game number 3. But then why is this only 0.5 or 0.56? And then game number 6, we did 26,000 XP and only got a third of the progress bar. And it gets even worse because game number 7, I start with a fresh PhD 0 and then I get 29,000 XP. More than this 26,000 XP, I get 29,000 XP, but yet I don't get that very first augment. These two games right here, game 7, game 1, I don't know. I don't know. I have two theories. I have two hypotheses here. Hypothesis number 1, all XP is not equal. You have player XP, you have weapon XP, you have certain challenges that award player XP. My hypothesis is that augments aren't counting some sort of XP, whether that's, I would bet it would be like weapon XP because, you know, you get some bonus weapon XP when your weapons level up, or there's certain challenges, or there's certain other things like radical challenge. I'm not entirely sure, but that's my guess. I don't know. I didn't measure every single little bit of XP that I got. I just looked at the big number at the end of the game because this is really, really close. And like I said, these two games where I was doing a lot of SAM challenges, SAM trials, and I got lots of challenges completed. So I'm guessing some of those challenges that I got completed didn't count towards this augment progression because as you can see, game number 8 right here, same thing, 31,000 XP. That's a great XP per minute and still not even one augment. However, after banging my head against the wall, I finally thought to myself, donuts, as you go through your ranks, each rank takes more XP to get to the next one. As you go through your weapon levels, each weapon level takes longer to get to the next one. What if augments take longer to get as you get each augment? So in addition to not all XP being equal, we could take a look at something like this, like game number 14, where I didn't Exfil, I actually died on round 15, totally on purpose, scientific method here, where PhD already had 4 augments researched and a little quarter here. I got 17,000 XP. So you would imagine, where's like a good 17? Okay, so like 13,000 XP is close by. You would think I would get 0.4, well, actually more than 0.4 of an augment, whereas I got even less. I got barely a third of an augment. But because the PhD already had 4 augments going, maybe each augment takes more and more XP. And in fact, looking at game 7 and game 1, we might be able to figure out these numbers. Game number 1 got us 26,000 XP and a little bit over 1 augment. So maybe we could say that the very first augment you get takes about 25,000 XP to research. Because in game number 7, when I did a whole bunch of extra challenges and I got some, radical challenges or whatever, that got me close. That got me very close to that first augment, but it didn't quite put me there. So maybe that checks out. And then game number 8 here, PhD is just barely, like I said, barely not on that first one, but then we reached that first one and almost got the second one. So maybe between the first and the second augment takes about 30,000 XP. Again, I'm just kind of looking at these numbers and estimating. You could come to your own conclusions, but that's what it looks like to me. Because then in our round 25 game, when we got 37,000 XP, we got more XP than this game over here, 31,000, where we got a whole entire, almost a whole augment. We nearly got half, like not even half of an augment, because PhD was on that very, very last augment. Maybe going from 5 augments to that final 6 one takes like 50 or 55,000 XP or 60,000 XP, and that's why this was so low relative to this. But believe me, I am just as confused as you are at this point. I'm really starting to believe in this theory here, because look at this, game number 16, round 35, we got 58,000 XP. If we say, what did we say? If we said augment number 1 is about 25,000 XP, and then augment number 2 is about 30,000 XP, 25 and 30 is 55, so 55,000 XP would get us almost okay. And if there's a couple thousand XP in there that was not counted because it wasn't counted through the augments, again, like my other conspiracy theory, that's really kind of what I would expect. Oh my goodness, did I even go over the matching augment? Talking about this matching augment here, this would mean that if I'm using if I'm researching researching PhD, I would also be using PhD. So in this case, yes, I was using PhD. In this game, I was not using PhD at all, and I wanted to see if there was a difference. However, these are the only 2 games I did that, so it's a very limited sample size, so I cannot definitively say if matching your augment actually makes it increase. From what it looks like, I would predict that there is no direct correlation between using the thing, whether it's a field upgrade, an ammo mod, or a perk, and actually getting more research or XP towards your research. If anything, if you were to equip Cryo Freeze and Research Cryo Freeze, the only way that would get you more XP is if you're completing the badges and certain challenges that required Cryo Freeze. But that would happen no matter what else you were researching at the moment. I don't think there's a correlation. That's my hypothesis based on the XP gains that I see with this spreadsheet. Is what I'm saying making sense, beautiful people? Are you guys confused yet? Like I said, I'm going to put this spreadsheet in the description. I want to be as completely honest with you beautiful people that I can, but from what I've gathered, I'm not going to die on the hill, but from what I have seen, from what the numbers tell me, your XP per minute is more heavily influenced by all of these side challenges that you're doing and how quickly you're playing the game. Also, the Rampage Inducer from the couple games that I played did not appear to decrease in any substantial way the XP. If anybody has more information, I didn't play a lot of Rampage Inducer, but from what it looked like it didn't have that big of an effect. Additionally, it looks like augments work like player XP and ranking and weapon ranking, where the later augments actually take more XP to gain. It appears as though the first augment takes about 25,000 XP and the second augment appears to take maybe 30,000 XP. However, also, not all XP is equal. There are certain things that I believe that the augment is not counting towards its own XP, where it does count it towards your own player XP. And from what I predict, matching your augment or using the thing that you're researching, I don't see logically how that would increase your XP gain for it. But again, very limited sample size there, didn't do a lot of testing, I apologize. I was confused enough as it was. So those are my massive findings. That's what I say. Please, if anybody can help me out, can replicate this, the best thing that you could do in a scientific study is have somebody else replicate your results. Please, I'm going to put this spreadsheet in the description. Feel free to erase all of the numbers. You should probably keep the formulas on there though. Please, write down in the comments what you have found. If your XPs per minute are incredibly different, if they're higher, lower, whatever. I kind of play zombies pretty slowly, so I did try to play these games as consistently as I could. I wasn't doing the Easter eggs. I wasn't doing the SAM trials except for these 2 games right here just to test it out. I wanted to have control as many variables as I could. And if you think this is headache inducing, you should subscribe because the next video I'm making is going to be on all of the gobblegums that I got during this entire process. Yes, I actually have a graph of this thing right here, and what you're gonna see is gonna be, well, kind of interesting. But as you're grinding out that XP and your critical kills for all of your weapons, you deserve a beautiful camo tracker like this one. So if you want to see my best tips and tricks for getting that nebula camo and you want to see how to use this camo tracker, be sure to check out this video and stay beautiful.